morning and welcome to Talking Point here on WESN, the content capital. My name is Keaton Shaw. A pleasure to have you with us this morning as we continue the conversation of the latest happenings here in our beloved Twin Island Republic, beautiful, need I say, of Trinidad and Tobago. It's a wonderful day, bright and sunny, and so are we in studio. We're a bit in a positive mood this morning. Or so I should hope, because my co-host and colleague has just given me a death stare. Let me introduce Mr. Sean Michael Small alongside me. Sir, I hope you are in a positive mood.
It's hard to be in a positive mood after you've seen some of the interesting driving I've seen this morning. Let me try and be quick. So, folks, you know, driving around the Savannah, Queen's Park Savannah, multi-lane roadway, use your indicator, look, see that there's no cars so you could shift lanes, because I have to shift lanes, right? Except the car on the other lane opposite me, that is to say, I am on the inside, he is on the outermost. I am looking to shift to the middle. I am taking my time to make sure the road is clear. He decides to avoid a car turning onto his lane. He's just going to swerve. And he wasn't looking to see if his lane was clear. Again, my indicator was on, and I was a little bit ahead of him, I think. But he just swerved towards me. He was on his cell phone. Looked like a relatively brand new BMW that he almost, sideswiped me. Cell phone, looking straight ahead, he's just veering out away, deep discussion. I think there might have even been a passenger in the car. Passenger could at the very least hold the phone for the driver. No. Next to the window, right? It didn't take much to notice that he was just on his cell phone there. So I wonder if he would have complained and moaned if he hit me about the accident that he would have caused. Anyway, that was not the most impressive feat for the morning, because then now, coming to the traffic lights at Cipriani Boulevard, I stopped for the red light, because it's a red light. Except a truck behind me decides, Keaton, it's almost like if he didn't realize that I stopped for a reason, right? You know, when you're kind of like, why this man stop? And then he goes to overtake you. So he looks to overtake me and go ahead through the red light with a police car right in front of him. So I was just flabbergasted because he stops halfway into the road and he has to reverse now, kind of halfway next to me to make way for the traffic, because he was halfway there, but he was a little too chicken to actually break the red light in front of the officer. He had to make way for the traffic from the perpendicular lanes to pass through. And I was just like, what is this guy doing? I don't understand. But that is the state of driving this morning, and we're not talking about, you're saving yourself, I don't know, because was he looking to break the red light and did not see the obvious? We're not talking a white police car with just CTPS, we're talking one of the blue and yellow checkered pattern designs.
Yeah, that's
right. The most obvious police car you could get. Right, there's nothing blocking the car, whatever. He is more or less within your line of sight, the path that guy tried to overtake me. So I don't know if he was trying to beat the light. Don't mind the fact that I stopped, it was red. Okay, so, the cars in front of me moved on yellow. So he looked like he was trying to break the law. Then last minute saw the police and halfway thought better of it and rolled back.
Well, there are two basic rules to driving which I realize are no longer being practiced. I don't know if it's even being taught, when you have to do your regulations before you're able to do your actual driving test. First of all, keep left except when overtaken. I don't know, like people have completely forgotten that rule applies to driving on the road. Keep left except when overtaken. Now, don't get me wrong, in some instances, given the condition of the roadways or the level of traffic, for example, I always moan the fact that on the highway heading west, you always have 3 lanes until you get to Grand Bazaar, which it then comes into 2 lanes.
Yeah, same thing going south.
Right, and that causes a choke, right? That causes a serious choke. That causes a lot of traffic, especially on your morning commute. But keep left except when overtaking. It's a golden rule in driving. The other thing I've observed as well, which quite frankly, I don't know if anybody knows how to merge in TNT anymore. I realize people just don't know how to merge. They're swerving into the lane. They're just carefree. We're not even looking at the vehicles behind us.
Yes.
We're looking at how much space we have between the vehicle in front and our vehicle. We're not in a care. And here's the greatest part. You see, the thing is that how the laws work is that I have to be observant of all the vehicles in front of me. So there is a possibility that if an accident were to take place, you know, the individual is merging. It's up to the police officer and whatever mood they're in to decide what's taking place. But the point is, people are swerving. And this is the thing. Your car is halfway between the lane that you're trying to enter and the lane that you're trying to exit.
Yes.
And it's halfway, and then you decide to turn on your indicator.
Oh, no.
That's not how it works.
I have seen, this is a long time ago, but it was one of those country roads. I can't even remember where we were driving from, coming back west. And the gentleman was coming at speed, looking to overtake, and then he basically did just that. He turned into us, into the car I was in. I was the passenger. He turned into us. He wasn't completely in front of us, so he's trying to overtake. But half of his car is next to half of our car. He turns into us, and then we have to swerve off the road to avoid him. I am the passenger, so I have a front row seat to this. Then he indicates, after he has already almost hit us, then he turns his head to look to see what's next to him. So I have seen that before, and the not looking, because yesterday evening, I was at Maraval Roundabout, just by the local fast food chicken establishment there, just before Maraval, turning into Maraval proper. And I'm on the roundabout, I'm seeing a car coming. He's not slowing down, and he's not looking in my direction. So I'm not going to assume that he's going to stop. I'm going to slow down. Then, when I'm slowing down now, he kind of looks at me almost like vexed that I slowed down and then keep going. I can't trust that you, not looking at oncoming traffic, not slowing down, are just going to all of a sudden stop in time. And in fact, he didn't stop really. You know, he just ignored what was coming and then kind of did a thing. If I kept going, I have the right of way. And that's the thing that I think most people seem to forget. Who has the right of way? I am supposed to be the one that's supposed to just keep going without a care in the wheel. But if I did that, he probably would have hit me.
And this is the thing. It's, to me, and I've noticed this ever since we've fully reopened, I don't know if over the course of the lockdown people forgot how to drive, but the driving has certainly gotten worse. The light is on amber. People are speeding up to catch the light. The light turns red, especially at that intersection outside our port here in Port of Spain, right? People are turning onto Ryson Road, and guess what? They're breaking that red light. The light is red, and you have at least 10 cars still shooting through.
I don't know if it's, there are some intersections in Tobago that actually allow for that. So I don't know if drivers who are accustomed to that are turning into Ryson Road.
They're turning into Ryson Road. They're not turning into the port.
I'm not sure if there's a merge, I'm not sure if there's a merge lane out of Ryson Road. But
there's a
like I said,
out to get onto Ryson Road to get back onto the highway.
Turning left, right?
But you are turning onto Ryson Road heading west.
Right, what I'm saying is there are some intersections in Tobago, and I can't speak for the rest of the country because I just haven't noticed it, but if I'm a Tobago driver, it's a wrong assumption to make. I'm just offering a slightly less than total guilty.
If you're a Tobago driver, more than likely in that instance, you would assume that you're either going to the port because you're not exiting the port. You're exiting Port of Spain. You're coming off the Eastern Main Road.
When you come to Trinidad with your car, you have to come to go back.
But listen, regardless, I will not make any excuse. Because a light, if it's red,
it's supposed to be,
it means stop.
There's supposed to be like an amber light or signage that allows you to turn.
Right? The amber light does not mean speed up. The amber light means slow down. It's like, listen, you're on Talking Point this morning. We like to educate. So we're just giving you refreshers in driving this morning. Because it seems as though Trinidad and Tobago really, really needs it. Right? Oh, and by the way, the next part about it with respect to drivers, right? Here in Trinidad, when people put do not block gate, active driveway, absolutely no blocking of the gate, do not block it or whatnot. Trinidadians don't see that. It's like they interpret it elsewhere. It's like, it means, if I'm not staying for long, right? I could block, it doesn't mean no parking in front of the gate, you know. It only means, no, I'm not staying long. No, listen, here in Trinidad, this level of ignorance needs to stop because as much as, on this program before, we've actually multiple times have had criticisms of the authorities for not enforcing laws, for people actually getting away with things, and there's a certain level of ignorance. But Trinbagonians, many a times, don't help themselves. A no parking sign does not mean I could park there for 5 minutes or I could stay in the car. It means no parking. Red light means stop, amber means slow down, not speed up, and green light means go. Then, again, when you're merging, please turn on your indicator so the drivers can see that you want to merge.
No. The first step when you're merging is look.
Yeah.
More important than indicator is look. Because I can understand there's no cars around and you don't use the indicator, fine. Okay, I'm not going to stress that. But at the very least, look first. With regards to the left lane on the highway, my problem is this. Now, I don't know about you, but I tend to drive close to the limit. I don't want to drive over the limit, right? But it's when people are in the overtaking lane, because I would assume, generally speaking, okay, you're in the overtaking lane, but you're like well under the limit. And you're driving next to somebody who's driving next to somebody on a highway. That's where I start to have the problem.
There is a principle, it's not a rule, but it really is a principle of which hopefully we can all follow. You see where they say that when we get in our car, we're driving. We're not driving just for ourselves, we're driving for everybody else on the road. And drivers, there's so many impatient drivers now, very, very ignorant. They like to, they like to ride up straight in your bumper. You could be going within the speed limit. You could be going 90.
Oh, no, I never do that.
You could be going 90 on the highway, right? The speed limit is 100. You could be going 90 on the highway. You have drivers behind you that are right up in your backseat, right, as they like to say. And quite frankly, it is frustrating, it's annoying, and you have to hold your nerves. And then road rage also in TNT. We haven't heard of a serious road rage incident in quite some time. I know a couple of years ago it was becoming quite common because it's what was being reported, but road rage incidents still take place, still exist. These are simple little things like no entry signs. When you have no entries from 2 to 6 or from 6 to 6, or you can't turn into this lane between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
No, but the thing is though, apparently those things are there for a reason because they made a change. Somebody was complaining about it. I believe near Peaks, they made one of those changes and it messed up the flow of traffic in the morning.
No, but by the St. Augustine Girls High School, between that junction and the TNTech station and the University of the West Indies, there are a whole set of no entry signs. It's only one way at specific times. I think it's from 6 to 9 on a morning and then from 2 to 6 on an evening. Listen, I am glad when there are police and wardens there, traffic wardens, giving out tickets. I'm glad, because you'd be surprised as how people see these signs and yet still think, oh, I could still break it, I don't care. I'm glad when they're giving out tickets. I'm glad people get tickets.
I just want to say, you see that whole thing about riding on someone else's bumper? The faster you go, the more dangerous that is. I was on the Lady Young Road one night, and basically a truck decided to come right up behind me. I slowed all the way down, and when he beeped his horn and complained, I shouted at him to give me some space, and thankfully he did. Otherwise, we would have been going on the Lady Young at like 30 all the way, because I am not about, right, to try to drive at a normal speed, and he is looking to play as though he's a train car behind me, and then if any little thing goes, a cat or dog darts out the way, or a car turns into my path, he's going to not just hit me, but hit me in, hard on a mountain road. No.
Well, as I conclude this particular part, I mean, it started off as a bit of a rant because you have to vent your frustration sometimes, but very valuable points came out of that lesson this morning. We really, really need to be observant of our driving. And it's very frustrating. I really wish there was more highway patrol. I really wish there were more officers on the roads to deal with these drivers who get away with absolute nonsense. Driving on the shoulder, for example, you're not allowed to drive on the shoulder. If a filter lane is 100 feet in front of your vehicle and you're stuck in traffic, it does not permit you to drive on the shoulder. You are to wait in that traffic until you get to the filter lane.
And don't use the shoulder to overtake in traffic and then block you.
And
sorry, the filter lane to overtake in traffic and block it.
And also, if Shawn Michaels more shouts at you, oh my God, good luck.
Hey,
good
it was
luck.
night time.
Listen.
It was on the Lady Young in the mountains.
We have had some experiences here in the office that have left us shook. And I will not speak very much about it. I will just eat my pizza and stay quiet.
You won't like me when I'm angry.
We'll be right back after
over your
this.
pizza. When you're pepper nut.
Whether it's a room for 1, 2, 3 or more, there's a room waiting with the ocean view almost to your door. Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, the perfect getaway when you don't want to travel far. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Crown Point, Tobago. Call 639-8571 for your reservation.
Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. BCU. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
Living in victory every day.
Inspire, motivate, encourage, hope. It's about topical issues. It's about everything that you would want to know about hope, about life. At the end, you're going to say, yes, if he can do it, I can do it too. If she can, I can do it too.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Welcome back to Talking Point, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the situation about crime, it's been at the forefront of a lot of our discussions here on Talking Point for the last couple of weeks, maybe even several months. One of the other topics at the forefront has been the selection of a new commissioner of police. And at the time, things were not so bad. And we started to warn and say, well, you know, this is not a good sign. This is not a good direction where crime is rising. It was rising at the time, not to these heights just yet, but we saw the possibility. And we had a situation where we had no substantial commissioner of police. We have a commissioner which, and we're going to have our media ambassador on later today, after the next break. He might say that he has confidence in the current commissioner. And there might be quite a lot of attributes of the current acting commissioner that could give someone in the middle of it confidence. But on the outside looking in, I can't escape the fact that acting commissioner of police, especially in this situation, are somewhat of a lame duck. He's going to put policies in place. And so far, the track record is every time there's a new commissioner, policies and plans and even units are renamed, rethought out, reorganized, repackaged. In some cases, it's politics, they just repackage the same thing under a different name. But in another situation, initiatives are changed, kind of like when we have elections and parties are flip-flop. Meanwhile, I do have to ask, because it's been said that, and this is interesting, Keaton, they say that everything is being done diligently and within lawfully prescribed regulations, all processes, with regards to the selection of Commissioner of Police. They just need more time, a month more. Now, to be fair, a month doesn't seem to be that much more when compared to the fact that they took over a year. The problem is they took over a year in a process that was supposed to have been, I don't know, done before last year, August, when the contract was up.
Actually, I'll be honest with you, it's not entirely bad. It's what, a year and a half that we're waiting for a commissioner of police, a permanent commissioner of police.
I mean, will a company have no CEO for a year and a half, Keaton?
Sean, that's not bad.
Will a board have no chairman for a year and a half?
It's not bad because I've been waiting 2.5 years for a national security minister to be appointed, right? So if a national security minister has not been appointed for the last 2.5 years, and let's be real, a national security minister doesn't exist. It's just somebody sitting in a seat. Then having no police commissioner for the last year and a half, no permanent police commissioner, because we'll give respects to the current acting commissioner of police, then Ronald McDonald Jacob, then quite frankly, I am simply suggesting that it's not bad. Now, on to the reality of it. We've now hit the second highest figure for murders in a calendar year. And tomorrow morning, we will be breaking that record. In fact, maybe we don't even have to wait. Maybe we'll actually get that within a couple hours, because that is the state of affairs.
So we have a whole month and a half to go, and we're closing in, because I believe the highest is 536, or a number close to that. We're closing in.
No, I think it's 539. But yeah.
But to give it perspective, we've already had a month with almost 70 murders. So we could very easily eclipse that 530 mark and reach 600.
No, and the thing is, you know, as much as I would like to say, Sean, don't be so negative, you know, let's hope we don't reach there. Honestly speaking, I would be very stupid to make a comment like that, because we are on course, we are on track. And, you know, honestly, I'm now wondering, this Police Service Commission has been there for a year and a half. We have 17 individuals, 17 candidates who have been shortlisted.
Yeah.
The vetting process, these individuals, don't get me wrong, they are part of essentially a board. They live their everyday lives and have their individual businesses or jobs to look after. Rajiv Prasad, for example, he's an attorney at law, very, very busy attorney at law. But then you have to wonder, if these are the individuals that we're putting, when we need a commissioner of police, one who is in a permanent position, who hopefully will be able to do a good job, and hopefully will have the powers that are necessary to implement effective policing, then what are we waiting on? They asked for an extra month to continue the vetting process, which was due to, actually I think in August we were promised to have a commissioner of police by the end of the year. Now they're saying that the vetting process will only end by the end of 2022.
Public bureaucracy is not looking good with regards to efficiency and speed. Just look at the Paria inquiry, right? That commission of inquiry. Now, granted, it's different bodies, I get it, I understand. But what I'm saying is, you're going to have public servants and bureaucrats and administrators underneath the commissions that also have to do a lot of the grunt work. That's where we can't assume, everything is fine and they're working fine and efficient and fast and it's moving as fast as possible. I can't make that assumption, especially after, this commission might be, a year in operation. Why is it, if there was any inkling that it was going to take a year, and I don't understand, why is it that we're utilizing the same systems before That's slowly but surely. When I say systems, I'm not talking, oh, we have highway patrol and we have northern division. I'm talking the same way that we select police, the same way that we carry out and decide on certain policies and implement certain policies, right? Not talking about a new task force. I'm talking about big picture things now. Crime is a major problem, and we're just moving at the same old pace, business as usual, right? Whenever the bureaucrats figure it out and get all the information, you know, they're only human, they can only move so quickly. We don't, you know, there's no actual emergency. Hey, Jamaica has a state of emergency in 2 of their parishes, but we are not there yet.
Multiple parishes.
Multiple parishes. We are not there yet, so we don't need to concern ourselves with maybe trying to do a rush order. You know, I mean, you could rush order your package delivery from Amazon or what have you. But let's not try to do everything we can, like maybe have, you know, somewhat choose individuals who aren't just able but could potentially devote more time on a near full-time basis to see about this, to get this done.
No, but
I don't know, maybe that might have been something to consider, because they were already months behind because the previous service commission imploded. So you're already months behind. You restart the list. You declare you restart the list in November, which was, I don't know how many months after the situation happened.
I think about 2 months after.
Right? 2 months after you were selected, another month or so after the implosion, right? So you're already behind. But we're just gonna, oh no, take your time. We don't need an actual commissioner, because the acting guy, I don't know how many officers are actually going to respect his authority, because he's potentially not going to be there in a couple months.
Let me see. First of all, I'm in a position where I'm looking at this thing wholeheartedly, and I cannot entirely blame Ronald McDonald Jacob. But
it's hard to believe you when you say that and still call him Ronald McDonald.
No, I do that because I also, at the same time, I'm of the opinion that, because, you know, as much as I'm making a joke, absolute respect to him, he is serving Trinidad and Tobago as best as possible. And if this is as best as possible, then he should not be the Commissioner of Police. I'm no authority, and I'm honestly in no position to suggest that, other than express my opinion, and it is in my opinion that he should not be. Hold on. He should not be the Commissioner of Police. We have a national security problem. We have an issue, which I'm not spitting in the wind, as one caller would like to say, spitting in the wind over this situation. I think overall, Sean, the question that we should be asking ourselves now is, at what point is it necessary, just as how Jamaica has done that with their state of emergency, given that I think we're number 6 in the world as it relates to murders per capita, at what point in time is it right for a state of the emergency to be declared? There was a shooting in Santa Cruz yesterday behind a preschool. So again, it's becoming more and more common in these areas. It's like criminals don't care anymore. And as much as you will call a state of emergency and you will give the police more powers, for as long as there are instances of things not functioning as they should, for example, the scanners at the port in Port of Spain, security cameras around Trinidad and Tobago, a lack of police patrols, of which at one point in time, I stated that I was very pleased to see the amount of police patrols and the amount of police officers present on the highway. I don't see that anymore. You used to see police officers stationed at every major intersection on the highway on a morning. You don't see that anymore. So as long as it is you have certain things like this with the national security apparatus and not functioning properly, declaring a state of emergency is one thing. I wonder if Trinidadians or Trinbagonians will actually support it and understand why there is a need for it.
Here's the thing, with regards to the police activity, I don't know to some extent what burnout from all of the additional responsibilities the last 3 years has caused on the police. Because not only did they have COVID and to enforce the public health regulations, but when school violence went out of control, the Ministry of Education called on the police. And at that point, it's not a police function. It's not in the plan and the organizational chart to say, okay, school division. That's not a permanent thing. So that's extra on top of extra on top of extra, right? And we could complain about police performance all that we want, but we have to acknowledge the fact that a lot has been asked of the service, and you cannot expect people to be robots and just, oh yeah, no, we'll just add more shifts onto our schedule. There's only 24 hours in a day, and you need 8 hours to sleep. Now, with regards to maybe getting a different acting commissioner of police, I think there's two problems. One, I'll kind of agree with. The government doesn't want to cause panic with too much and doesn't want to make change for the sake of change. That's my suspicion. However, hold on. However, the flip side to that is there is a lack of any sort of extra effort. They just go with the flow. Whatever the normal is, we'll just do that. There's no extra effort at all with regards to administration, policy decisions, what have you. That's why the government actually looked reasonably well with regards to COVID, because we saw the Ministry of Health and the Minister of Health put in the press conferences and extra effort. And extra, you could argue to say, extra is not as though they did that much, but they did more than what we normally see. And that was appreciated. With regards to crime, an equally important issue, I am not seeing any extra, no matter how small, anywhere. Not one fact.
I will conclude this discussion by reaffirming my position and my point that I do not want another acting commissioner of police. Here in Trinidad, you can be in an acting position for years, and then you retire and you get that pension which reflects your acting position. You can be in an acting position for years. Stephen Williams was never made permanent commissioner of police. He was only acting.
Honestly, that and all is unethical.
And the thing is, I do not want an acting commissioner of police. I want a permanent commissioner of police. And I want somebody who can actually do the job. I don't want a puppet. I don't want somebody who is good at public relations or will come and just essentially play a role, play a position because the title is before their name.
He has to be good at public relations, just that can't be his only skill.
Yes, but even the current acting commissioner of police is not good at public relations.
That
Do you remember a funeral? Was it the funeral of P.C. Clarence Jokes? In which he said, I'm wearing my mask, but I'm smiling today. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break. We'll be right back after this.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Here's your chance to win a brand new Mazda CX-30, courtesy Movietown. Simply spend $200 or more at dbesttoys.com, Movietown, Port of Spain. Promotion ends November 12th.
Visit the store, you better shop online. You better call us now, I'm telling you why. dbesttoys.com is the Movietown, Port of Spain.
AM Prime on WESN, the only place from 6 to 7:30 a.m. where you can get the most analytical and thorough interviews and regional reports.
The Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, once again able to achieve a clean sweep in yesterday's general election.
I think a lot of people have underestimated the power of Tobago nationalism.
The government is afraid to say it. I, Martin George, I am saying it this morning on your show, Andy. There will be no carnival before Ash Wednesday.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right watching AM Prime with Andy Johnson weekdays from 6 a.m. Only on your content capital, WESN.
Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered.
The conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN Content Capital.
Whether it's your family meet and eat or your own personal getaway retreat, a business trip accommodation or a couple's celebration, the Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa has room for you. There's always sumptuous, delicious cuisine and the gym and tennis court for a good workout routine. Then relax by the pool or on the private beach, or just head to the spa. It's also within reach. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Tobago's best beach resort. For reservations, call 639-8571 or check our website.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Inspire, motivate, encourage, hope. It's about topical issues. It's about everything that you would want to know about hope, about life. At the end, you're going to say, yes, if he can do it, I can do it too. If she can, I can do it too.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Yeah, welcome back to the program. You know, I wonder if we are too hard on the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service sometimes. I wonder. There's somebody who can actually answer that question for me, because he's sitting alongside Sean and I this morning. We're welcoming to the studio. Joining us is the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service's Media Ambassador, Acting ASP Ashraf Ali. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. And let me just point out, you are a very brave man, because even senior politicians now not only avoid interviews, but also call in segments. And I do not envy your job, and I very much find it commendable that you are here. And please don't take it personally.
So it's glad to be here again. Taking up this position as a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we will always have these challenges. You will always have persons who are not comfortable with the actions that you take. Some may be satisfied, some may be dissatisfied. Mm-hmm. Our objective here is to get as much persons satisfied with the performance of the police service. And if we go with the data, and I know you are two gentlemen who love to bring data, of course, to the table, and I agree with you before you bring the data, it is not looking so good on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago police when it comes to the crime situation and murders specifically. So I will acknowledge that, and that is something that we are working towards. Now, I was listening to your conversation earlier and tuning in, and I understand that there is some dissatisfaction in our processes. Even the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is dissatisfied in the manner in which we get the person to lead the
right,
organization.
Yes.
That is beyond our control. But
Yes.
at this current time, the person who is leading the police service, we will support, because at the end of the day, it's not about the police service only. It's about Trinidad and Tobago, and we have a role and responsibility in this country.
At the end of the day, you have no choice but to support him. He was placed as Commissioner of Police, and
fair enough.
Here's my concern, because I remember his predecessor very much pushed customer service. You know, and even now, you have repeatedly said, hey, you could go to any station to report anything. You don't have to go to specific stations. You know, the officers on duty at the stations are supposed to take reports in a certain manner and have a certain responsibilities, have certain duties of care to citizens that walk into the station. And while I get that, you know, police administration and the senior people on top, they're trying to ensure these initiatives are being met, sometimes it does feel to the common citizens that in individual stations, the level of commitment by the officers on the ground varies. So I understand that, you know, you say that, yes, the service in general will support whoever is the commissioner. But on an actual practical level, there are situations where it feels as though not all officers are, I mean, by their public actions in front of members of the public, displaying that commitment, because these policies, they're there for a reason. And I don't know if it's the same kind of disease you get in public service bureaucracies. That's, to be fair, all over the world. But in a police service, we can't afford it like we can in some random administration office.
And I agree. So it's something that we are looking at, and on all our platforms, the concerns with the citizens that they come across, so that we are looking into that from, as I say, our customer service and the ways that we can improve and get the officers to understand the overall concept and the objectives. Now, on many occasions, when we came and we talk about crime, we talk about the issue about why somebody is hesitant to report a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And the most recent incident where a state witness lost his life really and truly topped the table for a lot of persons, because if they believe that being a state witness, they can lose their life, the need to report a crime now becomes very, very difficult for those individuals. Mm-hmm. Now, the circumstances surrounding it, I will not discuss that as an active investigation, but there are certain things that we look at. Now, when you look at the law of Trinidad and Tobago, there are things in the law or areas in the law that persons are obligated to or mandated to report crimes. For instance, under the Sexual Offense Act and the Children Act, crimes that happen against individuals that falls within the ambit of that act, if you fail to report it, it's an offense. Most recently, a mother was put before the court where her child reported a breach of the act, an offense committed against the individual, and she did not want to report it. But when it came to the attention of the police, she was arrested for failing to act.
Mm-hmm. After the child had to report it to a teacher.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So when you read those two acts, and I want persons in our current situation where we have the issues of domestic violence, children abuse, both parent and child, sit and read the act to get persons to understand my role and responsibility, or I should say my duty of care to that individual in accordance with the law.
Okay, let me be practical here, because it's easy to say, well, people don't have faith in the police, so why should they do it, right? That's the rum shop question. Here's the real question. You're always going to have bad elements in our law enforcement service. Now, which, of course, now begs the question of the self-policing. But we'll put that to the side. On a practical level for potential witnesses, people who want to report a crime, you could run into the bad apple in the barrel, and your report is not being taken seriously. Things are not going through properly. Are there any recommendations for that? Is it okay to then maybe seek out a different officer, make the report in a different station if you have to? Or go for at a different time to get a different shift to see if they will get it seen differently? Because I know of one case of one station where different officers responded differently. One of the officers, it almost felt as though, yes, he might have been trying to defuse the situation, but it almost felt to the point where he was maybe looking out for a friend or doing a favor, whereas other people in the station took a potential violent threat more seriously and dealt with it in a more agreeable manner.
I don't understand.
Hold on. Because you can't build Rome in a day. I'm not expecting that.
You being practical right now, you're not being unfair. But me as a common sense and a rightful thinking citizen will ask, why does such a question even have to be considered?
No,
hold on. Because to his point, Acting ASP, why is it that it even has to get to that stage? Why is it that we have to look at alternatives? What are the other pieces of advice that you have to share with us? That is the thing. I don't understand why it has to get to that point.
And we continue to say it should not have reached that point. The reality is that, unfortunately, we do have those situations, isolated as they may be, but it is, we acknowledge it does in fact happen. That is why our open door policy, where you can report an incident or a crime at any police station. It does not mean that if you're reported in one station, that you can't go to another station if you're not satisfied with the service. And I'm saying that you have that opportunity, that you can go to another station and say, yes, sir, I reported this at this station. However, I'm not feeling comfortable that I got the satisfaction, and make another report.
I'm really sorry for any citizen that has to do that.
Is there a hotline?
It is not the ideal situation.
I know.
But we are trying our best to inform the public, and the public, as well as the internal police, the police officers, that they should not do that.
No, Acting ASP, forgive me. Great respect to you, and respect to the TTPS. But you see this line that I keep hearing from the TTPS, we are trying our best, we are trying our best. So it's just becoming repetitive. It sounds like parrots who have learned this one line, who are just, that's all they know what to say. And that's why I said, I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. We are trying our best. We are doing our best. Why is it that you're not getting different results? It's like the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I'm not seeing any change. I'm not experiencing. In fact, to me, this situation has gotten worse. I was just pointing out to my co-host before he came on air that up to a year ago, I saw police patrols or police officers stationed on mobile patrols, motorcycles, on various, major points on the highway when I journey to work on a morning. I don't see that anymore. I used to see police actually patrolling areas. I don't see that anymore. So to me, the situation has actually declined. So saying that you're trying your best and the TPS is doing their best, I'm not experiencing it or seeing it.
And I respect your views. That is your opinion, and we respect your opinion, and we appreciate all the opinions that you're sharing with us. But at the end of the day, that's your views, right? We may have other views from other individuals. So we have to take all the views and weigh the views and make decisions in the best interest of the police service and the members of the Trinidad and Tobago service, the state of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, even though we are blaming, sorry, may I rephrase the word, even though the police has a responsibility to do certain things, under the law, I want to bring back what we were talking about, the duty of care. And in the Christmas season, right, we know we have a lot of persons will be on the roads. And I just want to narrow it down to the fact that we're going to deal with a lot of persons on the roads, a lot of vehicles on the roads, more high activities on the road, and the potential for accidents, minor, maybe serious in some situations, is in fact a high-risk factor. Now, under the Motor Vehicle Road Traffic Act, we are talking about a duty of care. And a lot of persons have not understood that when you are involved in an accident, both parties, whether right or wrong at that point in time, is not you to determine whether they're right or wrong. It's an investigation will determine that. You have a duty of care to the other party. And that duty of care, let me just read something here under Section 79 for you. That gives you some idea. Section 79(1) states, where owing to the presence of a vehicle on a road, an accident occur, whereby injury, damage is caused to any person, animal, or property, the driver of such vehicle shall immediately stop. That is a key word, immediately stop. If any person is injured in the accident, and the driver shall, and in the law shall mean you are obligated to. Render such person aid, and if the person wishes to be taken to the hospital or to the doctor or is unconscious, convey in the first instance or cause to be conveyed. The cause to be conveyed simply means by calling the ambulance for the individual and ensuring that you are there when that the ambulance reaches, or cause somebody to call the ambulance on behalf of that individual. Not in the situation that we have many persons, you get involved in an accident. After that, you don't care if the person is injured or otherwise. You drive off and say, I go in the station and make a report when you have time. And you don't care about what is taking place at an individual. Now, in law, that's failing to render aid and assistance. That's failing to render aid. In law, you can't be charged for that. Right? So persons need to understand that. And they simply have not duty of care of your fellow citizens. You could have been on the opposite side of the accident, and you could have been injured, and you would have liked somebody to render some aid and assistance to you.
I think, Acting SP, I will agree with you, because it ties back into, again, something I was suggesting this morning, that as much as I will criticize authorities for not doing their jobs as best as possible, I also believe that citizens should look at themselves in the mirror sometimes and understand that in society now, what we have lost is a certain level of respect for each other. All right? Because that respect is gone, we don't know how to live with each other anymore. That's basically how it's become. Yeah. And it ties back into everything that you're saying. So I understand what you're coming with. I agree with you. Because quite frankly, if citizens aren't able to actually be mature about a situation or handle themselves in a respectful manner in which they could do the right thing but choose to do the opposite, no, I understand.
Here's the other problem, right? I've already said that between COVID and then school violence, right, more responsibilities, extra, because we still have to deal with murders, robberies, assaults, carjackings, kidnappings, human trafficking, drugs, etc. The police still has to deal with those things. Then COVID comes along, public health regulations, then school violence, because they haven't been in school for 2 years, and the Ministry of Education can't deal with it, even though technically it's their job. So the police has to see about that. Tobago Carnival, which was somewhat of a success, there was no major incidents. It's important for people to do their part, because the less that the public does with regards to their responsibilities, the more the service has to do. Now, with that said, and I know this might be a difficult question to answer, but I have concerns, right? And I've said this is not new, I've said this before during COVID. Is there any issue or potential consideration given to police burnout and maybe just having not enough resources as more and more things just get piled on? Because, and this is why I say, I question why we have a regiment and a Coast Guard that seemingly does nothing. And I wonder if manpower and resources in the TTPS is just not enough at times.
Well, that is an issue that we have and currently dealing with. The issue of burnout, as any human being, working repeatedly over a period of time, not getting the opportunity to relax and de-stress, will add some additional stresses. And I'm trying to make up, the police work itself is a stressful environment on the whole. And with all the negatives that keep on pressing against us, an officer will break at some point in time. He may not be as professional as we would like him to be. It is only human. It's not an excuse, but it's a reality, right? That we may not understand the same way the public asks us, you may not understand what I am going through, so speak to me in a particular manner. The same way you have to understand that is not an officer alone that's speaking to you. You're speaking to a human being who happens to be a police officer. You may not know what he went through also, but he is here doing the job. And understanding, as we're sure, Keaton is indicating, if we work and understand and be human to each other, in our situation, we may have we may be able to de-escalate a lot.
If we hold up on our end, then we could complain about somebody else not holding up on their end, but we have to still hold up on our end.
Ladies and gentlemen, we break for WSN's News on the Hour, and when we return, we'll open up the phone lines this morning where you're free to share your opinions, express your opinions with Sean and I, and pose questions to all of us here in studio. Acting ASP Ashraf Ali is with us. We'll be right back after this.
is your WESN News on the Hour. I am Marquise Akers. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. UDCOT chairman lashes out at opposition for misleading the public about Prime Minister's Tobago residence. Mom rescues toddler mauled by dog in Barkpore. TTSEC warns of penalties for Ponzi and pyramid schemes. And internationally, Donald Trump says he'll run for president again in 2024. Now for the details. Chairman of the Urban Development Corporation, Noel Garcia, says opposition MP Rudal Munilal and opposition Senator Wade Mark are intent on mischief and are spreading inaccurate financial information about the cost of the Prime Minister's residence in Blenheim, Tobago. He was speaking at a media conference in Port of Spain Tuesday afternoon. On November 6th, Munilal called for an independent investigation into the cost of construction of the residence. He had said the cost, as stated in documents from UDCOT, moved from an initial budget of $25 million to $63 million. In addition, Mark and Dr. Rowley was dancing around the topic of the residence refurbishment. He said that the budget for the residence moved from $17.5 million to $42 million. Garcia said it is clear the men are not getting their figures right, adding that Munilal made similar allegations in August 2019. A boy playing with a ball on the porch of his family's home was mauled on his face by a dog on Monday afternoon in Barkpore. The child's mother, 32-year-old Kassian Das, who was footsteps away from her son Jalil, lamented that her child could have been dead had she not sprung quickly into action. She witnessed the moment the dog's jaw locked onto Jalil at their home in Musarap Trace North. She said Jalil suffered laceration on his face, which she said were almost as deep as chop wounds. Das said the dog is owned by a contractor who lives nearby. She claimed threats were made if she went public with the incident. It is a criminal offense in TNT to establish, operate, advertise, or participate in Ponzi and pyramid-type schemes. This warning comes from the TNT Securities and Exchange Commission in light of amendments to the Securities Act, Chapter 8302. A Ponzi scheme is a form of fraud that pays existing investors with funds collected from new investors, while a pyramid scheme is a fraudulent system of making money based on recruiting an ever-increasing number of investors. The TTSEC says a new Section 165A was added to provide for the criminalization of such prohibited schemes. And internationally, former U.S. President Donald Trump has launched his third bid for the White House, declaring America's comeback starts right now. At his Florida estate, he said, "We have to save our country." Mr. Trump's announcement comes as some fellow Republicans blame him for the party's lackluster performance in last week's midterm elections. President Joe Biden, who defeated Trump 2 years ago, said he may run for re-election in 2024. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I am Marquise Akers. Thanks for watching.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Talking Point here on WESN Content Capital. We thank Marquise Akers for WSN's News on the Hour. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us open up the phone lines. The numbers should be on your screen. There they are. The numbers are on your screen. Call in and join us on the program this morning. Express your opinions. We'd love to hear from you or ask us your questions. Remember, Acting SP Ashraf Ali is with us. And very quickly, before we go to our first call, let me apologize in advance. Unfortunately, we're still facing difficulties with our phone lines due to the incompetence of TSTT. That's all I have to say. I apologize that TSTT services are...
You're really encouraging them to fix it, boy.
Anyway.
But, you know, in a strange way, that is a minor example of reporting crimes, you know. I don't know how else to say it. You have to be willing to put yourself out there.
If you have TSTT as your service provider, good luck trying to get through to anybody here in Trinidad. We have a caller on the line with us from Tobago. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, the host.
Morning.
Keaton and Shaw, and to your guests. I want to speak specifically to your guest this morning again. The last time I called in, I suggested that when violent crimes are reported in the newspapers as something happening, someone being shot, that there should also be a follow-up report to the public as to what may have happened, what may have caused that. That should be something that should be explored and shared with the public. Recently, a police officer was shot and killed here in Tobago. And there is great speculation that he was in the life. This is what has been bantered about from persons who claim to actually know, who lived in the area and actually knew that he was actually in control of a particular area of drug sale and so forth and so forth. These remain speculation. So if this is unearthed by the investigation, this is something that must be shared with the public so that people don't go away with the idea that people are just rolling up and shooting randomly at police officers and robbing them. They must know that this police officer was rogue, that he was in the light, if that bears out to be the case. I would also like to ask of you, we know that in the United States, one of the things that they used to really dismantle organized crime that is operation on the street level to a large extent was the RICO Act, Racketeer and Influence Corrupt Organization, where once they found out or once they were able to prove that you were masterminding criminal activity, all the properties you acquired were seized, including those in your mother's name, your girlfriend's name, and even they themselves were swept up into that. I would ask, is such a procedure being enacted here in Trinidad and Tobago, and is it being widespread used? I would also like to ask if you have a number that I can call you personally. I would like to propose to you 2 strategies that law enforcement can enact that could put a serious dent in the operation of crime as it is right now in Trinidad and Tobago. Especially what hampers you from really solving a lot of these crimes is people are not coming forward and sharing information. And particularly that is true in the African community, because in the African community, snitches get stitches. And I would like to share with you a means by which you can combat that.
All right.
So if you post your number or share your number with me somehow, if the host can do that, I will be more than happy to call you and speak to you on that. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. We have a caller on the line with us from Pitty Valley. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sean and Keaton.
Good morning.
Good morning to Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali, what I'm going to ask, if you cannot answer because it's an active investigation, so you can decline. Mr. Ali, the last witness that died in Mova, his lawyer is wanted to say that the police service didn't protect him. The police service is saying they offer him 3 times to be in the witness protective service and he declined. If so, it is very simple for the police service to shoot and kill it one time, because if he decline, he's on his own and that is his business and he live a checkered life, even with the case with the police service. So all you all have to do, Mr. Ali, is just come up with some sort of paper trail or whatever where you all did offer him witness protection service and he declined. And if you all that is truth, so be it with the young guy. So his lawyer is painting a picture where you all just had to clarify by showing some paper trail, and that's it. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a waiver for those situations that he would have had to sign?
I honestly speaking, I couldn't hear anything. What was the question?
With regards to.
All right, I'll tell you what. Let's take this caller from Kuva. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Quick question to the officer. Is there a policy with regards to treating the public that when the public come to make a report, they are assumed to be criminals until proven innocent?
The caller is asking, thank you, caller.
Thank you.
If there's a policy where you make a report,
and if the individual is proven guilty until they
assumed guilty until proven innocent.
I know it's the other way around.
No, it's not the other way around. Yeah. It's innocent until proven guilty.
All right, folks, we need to take a quick break here because we want the acting ASP to hear all your questions. We just need to sort that out. So we'll be right back after this. Phone lines are open until 9:26. We'll be right back after this.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
All right, welcome back to the program. Let's open up the phone lines once more immediately with the time that we have left this morning's edition of the program. Call in and join us. Call on the line with us from Port of Spain. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, panel, and good morning to our senior who is representing perhaps the most difficult assignment in the country.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I listened to you all this morning, and I detected some measure of despair as it relates to policing and the future of the country. And I listened to Sean in particular reference the limited states of emergencies that are in place in Jamaica as we speak. And I would want to think that is the kind of measure that ought to be implemented in Trinidad and Tobago today. Not a nationwide state of emergency, but states of emergency to deal with areas that where in fact the youngsters have now taken over control of those districts and communities. And make no bones about it, many of these, where some of these things are happening, there are existing very busy police stations. I speak about Besson Street Police Station and its proximity to Rose Hill and its proximity to the ongoing, the volume. I think the most, if I'm to measure it well, the most bullets are shot out of guns in that community. And so I could well imagine how you feel, and so I think the issue of a limited state of emergency is something that I would ask the senior, whether in his opinion is the law enforcement have discussed this and have discussed this as a recommendation with a view to recommending same to the National Security Council. Politically, people might feel, well, it is a kind of weak approach, but I don't think so at all. I think you need to become firm and harsh when there are firm and harsh conditions required. Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
If you want to give a quick response.
Well, actually, before you give that response, let's take this call from Chigonas. Good morning, caller.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I totally disagree with your last caller. All we need in this country is starting from the Prime Minister, his ministers, to do their job.
Yep.
We have listened to people find every excuse not to do their job. When I was in the public service, we find every way to do the job. Instead, everything today is a spin. I have mentioned many cases with your guest here, and instead of he getting the police to address these problems, he finds every reason why the public should be doing their work for them. He seems to forget that the public is not paid to enforce law, but the police is, the ministers are, and how we deal with it, I've already told you, is going down to the annual administrative report, which is a senior officer claiming never see for the public service. That is how we would deal with the problem, gentlemen. Unless you have a reason, a question for a change. Sensible one.
No,
we do have a backlog.
No caller. Thank you.
I mean, I agree with him. If people aren't doing their jobs, then a state of emergency is not really going to work, because are they going to all of a sudden do their jobs for a state of emergency? But it's more than just police. There are various aspects of the public service
When
that are...
if the scanners at the port down, as a prime example, what's the point of calling a state of emergency? Just those little things are factors you have to consider.
If people get away with using the wrong liquor license,
or have a liquor license,
who gave it to them, who covers for them on the bureaucratic side. But with regards to the limited state of emergency, and then we'll give you the questions from the caller chicken.
All right. So with respect to limited, I know that that conversation continuously comes up from different forums. I would believe that those discussions were held at the National Security, and it would have been explored. The options would have explored. Those options, we realized what, taking into consideration what the last state of emergency had, whether or not it has value. But at the national security level, I suspect those things would have been thrown out on the table, and a decision would have been made from that level, whether or not it would have been an option or not.
I will just say this. My one concern with a limited state of emergency, when we speak to Karen later this week, apparently there are areas that are not heavily touched by crime. Crime is not an issue. But then now, if we have limited states of emergencies, we potentially might push the criminals out from areas where crime is heavy into areas where crime previously was not heavy.
It's too small for a limited state of emergency.
Well, okay.
And you see this thing about hotspots too. You remember we had hotspots in which police were patrolling more actively than other areas?
Agency task force,
Yeah. So, okay, you have a lot to respond to. I want to take this call from Digger Martin, and then you can respond.
So this is the last call?
Yes, this is the last call. Good morning, caller from Digger Martin.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
I just want to agree with Siobhan, the professor. He's absolutely correct. This is what I've been saying all along. The heads of the country are not coming out there and making their presence present, letting people know they are serious about this thing. They're just sitting down there and doing all what they want to do, and people putting up on social media and showing them playing golf, doing this, doing that. What are they expecting people to feel? They need to take the bull by its horn. They cannot have people outside there living in fear like this. I saw a thing this morning on social media from somebody, and I don't know if it's true or false, but it's about 12 people who shot at and some being shot, one dead, three critically or badly off. And that is not good image for the country. You don't realize you cannot get any kind of investment here because of crime. Crime is the problem. People got to get to grips with this thing. And the heads of the country need to get their act together. Gentlemen, thank you for taking my call and have a very good morning. I'll be safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Just like to say it again, not see any extra effort from the people at the top, the policy decisions. What are they changing? What are they doing more as the situation gets worse?
They're making visits to the charge affairs of the United States to change the travel advisory.
Right, yeah, it doesn't actually change the situation. I just want to point out that as somebody asked the question of me, they're of the opinion, the Prime Minister is 73. We assume he is of good health, but he's gotten COVID how many times? What other health risks does he have?
Listen, the Prime Minister...
I have heard speculation that maybe he is sicker than we think he is.
Listen, it doesn't matter.
He's not appearing as much publicly as he would before.
Listen, the Prime Minister tested positive for COVID. He was on the golf course playing, he was in Mocha playing golf. All right? Just think about it for a moment. Back to the ASP, we have 6 minutes left. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so one of the questions asked from Pitty Valley was with regards to the shooting of the state witness. The lawyer says that he did not have police protection. Apparently, police are saying that he refused police protection 3 times. He was just asking for a paper trail to prove that. Is there like a waiver that he might have signed to say, you know, I refuse police protection and this is me officially signing a consent form or waiver saying I understand the risk something?
Generally, he's asking, he says it's very easy, generally, for you all to come out when people are disputing what you all are suggesting with a paper trail.
And it's not, and I won't say that those are private documents. It is not public information. That's a discussion between the lawyers and the individual. It has a potential risk that we don't want to explore. And the commissioner did in fact come out and said that protection was offered and the person denied. Now, if every time we make a mention that somebody deny protection and they sign a waiver, are we supposed to come out and present it for evidential purposes? No, I don't think so. That will defeat the purpose of this process again. Now, notwithstanding that, I understand the public interest in the context of this, but there are certain things that I am sure his lawyer who was represented him before can make the relevant actually relevant documentation from the Commissioner of Police, and they can present what they want to present. No, notwithstanding that, we're talking about proceeds of crimes. The caller did, in fact, whether or not we can go against take the proceeds. And we don't need to take somebody else's legislation. We have the Proceeds of Crime Act. And under the FIB, we have an agency who will channel that. Now, the investigation is that if it is deemed that whatever proceeds that you have is deemed to be under the pretense of crime, orders will be made to seize all those assets. And they have made orders already to seize assets belonging to individuals who is alleged to be involved in crime, and we can prove that the items have been subjected for inquiries, and we have been doing that, right? So it can go as far as the law will permit to go up the chain, where even your family or friend businesses can be seized it has a wide extent for procedure crimes.
Right.
Right. The person this individual talk about, and I want to talk about the person from Shagwanas. Firstly, I want to tell the person, the gentleman from Shagwanas, thank you very much for your service. I know you gave the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service a lot of your years. So, and he still wants to by sharing his opinions and his views. So that is where he's still a serving member. Mm-hmm. Once you're police, you're never a police. You'll always have a view because you always want this institution that this noble institution look good because you was part of it. You never wanted to see go down the drain. And I understand the passion in which he continues to say that everything that they do to do their job. However, the challenge, and it's not excuses what we are making, but just we are being very frank with the public that 20 years ago, social media was not as impactful as it is today. So every single issue that was existing 20 years ago is now forefront and a foreburner for us to address. All the inconsistencies, all the challenges that you face, even when you talk about not seeing the presence of the police officers in certain locations. Every single location is a traffic hotspot in Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time. The roads are not there for us. The roads are very congested. Rainfall, and we have flooding, they expect a police officer to be there at that point in time. So all of this, and social media make it so easy to identify all the ills of the police service, as opposed to identifying what the police service have been able to achieve thus far. And if we could just shift the murder rate a little bit off the table, I know it's a front burner, how much we have been doing when it comes to dealing with children, engaging in the public, our media ambassadors coming in the front, taking on the challenge where the public is challenging us. We are there, we are taking the challenge, both positive and negative. We are here to make ourselves transparent. We have arrested several police officers within our organization that we did not even, that we felt, it hurts to feel like a police officer got arrested. And we have arrested and we have made that clear to everybody that we continue to make sure that the rogue elements go out. We have community outreach programs in different communities. We are treating with the school issue and school violence on a real basis, right? We are there. It may not be because but we always been tested and judged on the murder rate alone, but not on everything else as pushed on his side. But we are working twofold, and we are trying. I don't want to hear the word again. I won't say the word. We're trying our best, but we are concentrating on different mechanisms to bring the murder rate down. But when you look at the analysis of it, the type of crimes is violent crimes from a violent society who don't know how to treat internal issues that is expressed in different ways. From a school. When you have children in school beating and assaulting a principal, getting up in a classroom and verbally abusing a teacher, that speaks volumes. And we have not heard, and I've not heard the parents of those children condemn the actions of those children. By not condemning, they are technically condoning. And that is what we're saying. That is why I started off earlier, that we have a duty of care, not only when an incident takes place, but a duty of care in this whole situation in Trinidad and Tobago to take responsibility for some of our actions that leads to some of this situation that we're facing.
Well, we're just about out of time, so we'll just wrap things up by saying that I said before, there are people who hold systems together, whereas at the public service or the TTPS. Now, the wider question is, we need to fix these things. Some of it is within the TTPS, some of it is above the TTPS. And we need to fix these things before the people that are holding our society together, whether it's public administration, police, fire, what have you, the ones who are actually working, if they get burnt out and they go, what will we have left? We will have a collapsed system.
I will simply conclude by, I hear you, I hear what you're saying, and all the very best to you and to every single police officer out there who are part of every single honest, hardworking police officer out there. Because I really hope that the bad apples are removed from the bunch. Ladies and gentlemen, as we end this show, thank you very much to all our callers, to Acting ASP Ashraf Ali, Sean Michael Small, and to everyone here at WSN who makes this show possible. I'm Keaton Shaw. Remember, as ironic as it may be, today is a good day to have a good day. We'll see you again, hopefully, tomorrow morning.
WESN.
Dear Santa, this year has been rough. Prices going up and with dust going down. So Santa, this year for iShare, we ain't asking for no toys and no gifts. We're just asking for food and non-perishable items to help all the people who can't buy them.
Ho ho! That's very nice.
Hey, Santa, you here? You bring the stuff?
Oh, well, no. I just outside.
Santa, me and you go get where?
Well, I know read.
Santa, watch me. Let's go and get a thing for me, please.
Who child is this?
iShare, the Devon Matthews Charity Drive is back, and we're asking for your donation of non-perishable food items to help those in need. Contributions can be made at Dev's Barbershop, Scrapes Car Wash, the Bocas Restaurant and Bar, or for more information, contact 724-8616 or 785-8238. iShare, brought to you by the No Youth Left Behind organization, the Lit Foundation, and the friends and family of Devon Matthews.
I'm Keaton Shaw, and we are WESN, the content capital. What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers? Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
I'm Sean Michael Small, and we are WESN, the content capital.